If you are in business or thinking of going into business, this show's for you. Every week, we often feature guests from different areas of business. We have interviews with entrepreneurs, corporate executives, and business experts. They offer you their advice, their stories, and inspiration that might help you with your career, your business. Today, there's no guest. I'm going solo. I'm going to do a little bit more of this from time to time because as I go along and interview other folks, I notice patterns. I notice patterns in terms of how people run their business, mistakes they make, and the things they do that turn out well. And I share some of those ideas and insights with you on these solo shows. Today's show is about business conversations. Business conversation. Business conversations. Why might that be important to you? Well, if you are in business or if you plan to go into business, you're going to have some conversations along the way. Some of them will go well, some of them will not. It's not luck. It's occasionally it's luck, but most of the time it's skills and being aware of what's happening in the conversation. It turns out over the past few weeks I've either witnessed or been part of several business conversations, more of them than that went badly versus went well. And the ones that went well, I'll be able to tell you about them, what the people did right to make them go well. But the ones that went badly, I'll also point out to you what people did badly and tips, ideas that you can avoid, those mistakes you can avoid in your own business presentations, your own business conversations. And when I talk about conversations, think of the ways you use conversation in your business. There's many ways, of course, standing around the water cooler, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about conversations that help you advance yourself, your career, or your business. For example, the biggest business conversation is the one about selling your product, selling yourself, or selling your ideas. That's probably the most important type of business conversation you will ever have. Another type of business conversation might be to promote a cause such as CFMU, to promote your product, to promote attendance at an event, to promote your ideas regarding change perhaps that you want to make in your business or in the community or in the members of your group. Promote. That's the second type of common type of business conversation. And the third type, and you notice they're all related. The third type is networking. In business, if you are in business, if you're building your career, at some time somebody will tell you you must network. You must go out there and build a network. And networking is not just clicking like on Facebook. That's not really networking. Real networking is done talking to people. The best type, of course, is face-to-face. Other than that, there's telephone conversations, and there's, of course, email and other electronic types of conversations. They are all conversations. But the most important type of conversation is the one where you talk to another person face-to-face. So I promised I'd tell you I'd give you some examples of conversations that I saw go poorly lately. Here's one. I met with a president of a company in the online promotion business. And we chatted. The president of the company wanted to sell me his services to promote my websites. It's something that if you're in business, you should have an interest in at some point. So naturally, I was interested in what he had to say. I asked him a question, and he talked nonstop for 30 minutes. 30 minutes with barely catching a breath along the way, just nonstop. And now, clearly, the man was passionate about his subject, his topic, and he seemed to know it well. What he did not do well is, number one, at the end of 30 minutes, I forgot what my question was, and I certainly didn't know the answer. And most importantly, he was The purpose of this conversation was to explore to see if I wanted to purchase his services. At the end of 30 minutes, I was not interested in doing business with this person. I asked a simple question. It took him 30 minutes for him to talk, none of which addressed my question. At no time during the 30 minutes did he even come back and say, well, did I answer your question? Or does that make it clear? Or do you want to know about this or about that? Do you want to know about the options, the sizes, what's most important to you? Or he asked nothing. He simply had something to sell, had a lot of stuff clearly in his head that he needed to get out, but it did not serve his purpose of the conversation. Now let's clarify too something else. Most conversations in business, what's the purpose? Well, some people might think, well, I need to deliver my message. And you'll probably find that if you ask anyone who's calling you with a telemarketing call, they just want to deliver their message because that's what they're paid to do. But the reality, the purpose, the real measure of success of a business conversation is what's the action that you want as a result of that conversation. Is the action that you want those people to hire you? Do you want them to buy your product? Do you want them to arrange another meeting so you can go and explain to the team? What's the purpose? So decide before you have a business conversation, what's the real purpose in mind? How will you know if it was successful? Dumping your message is not a successful conversation. So there was this company president, the one who spoke for 30 minutes. He simply dumped his information because that's all he knew to do. Curious. He probably had a good product, probably had a good service. Man was passionate, but passion isn't enough. Passion is important to build the business, but it wasn't enough. He needs to learn. He needs to learn to say less. He needs to organize, prioritize his points. So that was one example of a conversation gone badly. I had a networking meeting with another individual, a man who was, he's a consultant. And we were meeting not because we wanted to do business with each other. We were simply networking and seeing, okay, what do I know about, what can I learn about your business? What can you learn about mine? Do we have some things in common? Can we introduce each other to some possible leads, or is there something here? A networking type of meeting. You don't network because you want to sell to the person. You network because you want to build a network of connections of people who might introduce you or mention your name to others who might then hire you or buy your business. So I'm at the networking meeting. We're meeting in a coffee shop, sitting across the table from this man, and very similarly patterned to the other president. I asked this consultant about his business, and he proceeded to talk, only this time for the better part of 50 minutes. He talked nonstop. Now, he was again very passionate about what he did and who he was and the things he did, and he was proud of himself, and there was no question there. But 50 minutes in, I was getting somewhat annoyed with this man. I'm thinking, no, I don't want to network with him. He can't even answer a simple question, and not at any point did he even ask me about me yet. He made a number of assumptions, and he spoke it wasn't a conversation with one person speaking. And his thoughts were disorganized. They were not organized into patterns. I don't know what was the most important thing he told me because he didn't clarify that. So here's some things to do when you have your conversation. What can you do? Well, clarify what is important. What do you want people really to remember? And forget the stuff, the noise that's not necessary, because it is simply noise. So there's two conversations that went poorly.